Yeah, let's start, Pooja. Yes, go ahead, please.
အားလုံးပဲမင်္ဂလာပါရှင်ကျမတို့ခင်ဖြူစင်ပါ Head of Training Department ဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီနေ့မှာတော့ကျမတို့ Brainworks Total My Myanmar School ကနေပြီးတော့ဒီမူကျင်းပါတယ် Career for the Next Generation ဆိုတဲ့ခေါင်းစဉ်နဲ့ webinar လေးကိုကျမတို့ကျင်းပဖို့အတွက်ရောက်ရှိနေရပဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ရှင်အဲ့တော့ဒီနေ့ webinar လေးမစတင်ခင်မှာပေါ့နော်ဒီနေ့မှာဆွေးနွေးပေးသွားမယ့်အကြောင်းအရာလေးကိုကျမအချင်းချုပ်အနေနဲ့အနေငယ်ပြောပြပေးချင်ပါတယ်ရှင်ကျမတို့ရဲ့မျိုးဆက်သစ်တွေပေါ့နော်နောက်ထပ် next generation တွေမှာကျမတို့ next generation တွေမှာမျိုးဆက်သစ်တွေမှာဘယ်လိုမျိုးcareer ဘယ်လိုမျိုးလုပ်ငန်းမျိုးတွေကပို့ပြီးတော့မှလူတွေကလိုအပ်လာမလဲလိုချင်လာမလဲဆိုတာကိုမကြည့်ခင်မှာကျမတို့ရဲ့အဖိုးအဖွားအဖေမေတွေပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့အရင်generation တွေပေါ့နော် first generation တွေ second generation တွေကိုကြည့်မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျမတို့ officers ရုံးခန်းတွေလိုမျိုးလုပ်ငန်းမျိုးတွေနောက်တစ်ခါ technician ပေါ့နော်နည်းပညာနဲ့ဆိုင်တဲ့လုပ်ငန်းမျိုးတွေအဲ့ဒီကနေမှတဖြည်းဖြည်းနဲ့ကျမတို့သိပ္ပံဘာသာရေးနဲ့ဆိုင်တဲ့လုပ်ငန်းမျိုးတွေဒါမျိုးတွေကခေတ်စားလာပြီးတော့အခုလိုကျမတို့ full generation လို့ခေါ်မှာပေါ့နော်လေးခုမြောက်မျိုးဆက်သစ်မှာကြာတော့ကျမတို့ AI လို့ခေါ်တဲ့ artificial intelligence နဲ့ဆက်တဲ့လုပ်ငန်းတွေကပို့ပြီးတော့မှလိုအပ်လာမယ်ဆိုတာကိုတွေ့ရှိရပါတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့ကျမတို့အခုကျမတို့ရဲ့မျိုးဆက်သစ်တွေသူတို့နောင်လာမဲ့သူတို့လုပ်ငန်းဝင်မဲ့အချိန်မှာဘယ်လိုလုပ်ငန်းမျိုးတွေကသူတို့အတွက်သူတို့ဘယ်လိုလုပ်ငန်းမျိုးတွေကသူတို့ရဲ့ခေတ်မှာပို့ပြီးတော့မှခေတ်စားလာမလဲသူတို့လေးတွေကိုကျမတို့ဘယ်လိုပြင်ဆင်ပေးရမလဲဒါမျိုးတွေကိုအဓိကထားပြီးတော့ဆွေးနွေးပေးသွားမှာပဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ရှင်ကျမတို့ဒီနေ့ webinar လေးကိုအဓိကဆွေးနွေးပေးသွားမယ် speaker ကတော့ Mr. Tanu ဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဆိုတော့ကျမတို့ဒီ speaker နဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ကျမအနေငယ်မိတ်ဆက်ပေးချင်ပါတယ် Mr. Tanu อ่ะဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျမတို့ IB ပေါ့နော် International Baccalaureate လို့ကျမတို့သိတဲ့ပညာတင်နိုင်ငံတကာအဆင့်ပညာရေးလမ်းကြောင်းတစ်ခုပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီရဲ့ economic စီးပွားရေးစာအုပ်ကိုတွဲဖက်ရေးသားတဲ့စာရေးဆရာပဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ရှင်ကျမတို့ဒီလိုမျိုးဖတ်စာအုပ်ကိုရေးသားတဲ့စာရေးဆရာတွေနဲ့ပေါ့နော်နိုင်ငံတကာအဆင့်ဖတ်စာအုပ်တွေကိုရေးသားတဲ့စာရေးဆရာတွေနဲ့တွေ့ဆုံဖို့စကားပြောဖို့ဆိုရဲအခွင့်အရေးဟာအင်တန်ပဲရှားပါပါတယ်ဒီနေ့မှာတော့ကျမတို့ Mr. Tanu ကိုဖိတ်ကြားနိုင်ခဲ့ပါတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲဒါကြောင့်မလို့ဒီနေ့မှာ Mr. Tanu ကနေပြီးတော့မှကျမတို့ဒီနေ့ Career for Next Generation ဆိုတဲ့ခေါင်းစဉ်နဲ့ဆွေးနွေးပေးသွားမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ရှင်အဲ့တော့ကျမတို့ဒီမှာလူတွေလေးနည်းနည်းလေးဝင်လာနေပြီပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့အဲ့ဒါလေးစောင့်နေတဲ့အချိန်မှာကျမတို့အဓိကအကြောင်းအရာလေးကိုမဆွေးနွေးခင်မှာကျမအကြောင်းလေးကိုအနေငယ်ပြောပြပေးချင်ပါတယ်ရှင်ကျမတို့ Brainworks Total My Myanmar International School ကျောင်းနေရဆိုလို့ရှိရင်เนาะလွန်ခဲ့တဲ့နှစ်ပေါင်း20ကျော်ကလေးကUniversity of Cambridge ရဲ့အတိအမှတ်ပြုလက်မှတ်ရရှိထားတဲ့အကြောင်းဖြစ်ရည်တည်ခဲ့တာဖြစ်ပါတယ်အဲ့လိုပါပဲမကြသေးမီအချိန်ကလည်း International Baccalaureate လို့ခေါ်တဲ့ IB World School ဖြစ်လေအတိအမှတ်ပြုခံထားရတဲ့အကြောင်းလေးဖြစ်ပါတယ်ရှင်ကျမတို့ Brainworks Total ကျောင်းနေမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အသက်2နှစ်ကနေပြီးတော့16နှစ်အရွယ်အထိမူကြိုအရွယ်ကနေပြီးတော့မှ IB Diploma အတန်းတွေအထိဖွင့်လှစ်သင်ကြားပေးနေရပဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါအပြင်မူလာတန်းနဲ့အလယ်တန်းကျောင်းသားကျောင်းသူတွေအတွက်လည်း My Myanmar International School ဆိုပြီးတော့ဖွင့်လှစ်သင်ကြားပေးနေပါတယ်ရှင်စနေတနေ့တန်ခွဲတွေကိုလည်းဖွင့်လှစ်ထားပြီးတော့ရန်ကုန်မြို့အပြင်တောင်ကြီးမြို့နဲ့မော်လမြိုင်မြို့တွေမှာပါကျောင်းခွဲများဖွင့်လှစ်သင်ကြားပေးလျက်ရှိပါတယ်ရှင်အဲ့တော့ကျမတို့ဒီနေ့ကတော့ပေါ့နော်မိဘတွေကျမတို့ဒီနေ့မိဘဒီ webinar လေးကိုစိတ်ဝင်စားတဲ့မိဘတွေအတွက်ကျမတို့အချိန်ကိုလည်းပို့ပြီးတော့အဆင်ပြေအောင်ဒီလိုညနေခင်းအချိန်လေးမှာကျမတို့ကျောင်းကနေပြီးတော့မှစီစဉ်ပေးထားပါတယ်အဲ့တော့ကျမတို့အဓိကအကြောင်းအရာလေးကိုစလိုက်ကြအောင်เนาะ Okay let's welcome Mr. Tanu and as well as Mr. Mohan principal of our school to start the session thank you
You know, it's a pleasure welcoming you here. You know, you're a friend. More than that, you are a trainer. You are a teacher for me as well in many of the IB systems. And and you know, Tanu is an author. Not many times we get an opportunity to have a conversation with an author of a book. You know, I don't know how many people have this opportunity to have a conversation with a complex topic like economics, and that too for IBDP. That's a lot of work. You know, I would see on another day I would like to talk about, you know, how is it like writing a book to, you know, for an IBDP diploma subject. And yeah, other than that, he's on an IB education network. Right now he's in Thailand, you know, for a school inspection, you know, school consultancy visit. So he travels around the world, and he's one of the person that I respect and have some unbelievable references, and I'm really glad to welcome you here, Tanu, for our bi-monthly seminars. So the idea of these seminars are to, you know, other than out of the box, parents today need a lot of support and information. So we try to bring in as well as, out of the box thinking rather than the regular, marks, chasing marks, following a curriculum and so on and so forth. And I'm looking forward to this seminar like anyone. Welcome you here.
Thank you, Mr. Mo. I think that it is great to have all of you to have some conversation and a share. I am not the expert, because when I call anyone an expert, that means that cease to exist. Lifelong learner, and trust me, if anyone thinks and accepts that someone is not lifelong learner, that is the end of learning. I lived in different countries and traveled more than 50 countries, at least 25 countries for evaluation and leading workshops or consultancy. At the same time, I have written a book, but I have the picture of this book for a different reason. So if you look at the picture of the book, and if you look down, you're going to find a picture of a market, actually. So that's the market I visited about 3 hours back. That's the largest open air market in Asia. And when we've been writing this book, the market looked like that. Okay, so when I visited the market about 3 hours back, and I've seen that the market doesn't look like that. The last time I have seen the market about 10 years back. Right now, this is basically a 5-storied building. Okay, I'm talking about this is 2020 and this is 2023. Wow. That everything got changed. It is now air conditioned. It has like a sophisticated stuff. It's nice. I mean, with the heat and the warm weather. But I have been looking at, wow, the pace of change is so significant. And I thought that since we're going to talk about the next generation jobs, I also have the opportunity to start my lecture with that picture, which resonates with my personal experience, with my book, and what I've been doing right now, and on the topic which I would be leading. If you look at my topic, that's been grounded by some recent research. So if you look at the research, that's basically between 2018, and it does involve substantial reading. Actually, all the teachers do read, right? So they're boring people just like me. They read and they do share that what's out there. And at the same time, I am the economist by trade. So it's my personal interest to see that, well, where we are leading towards. So if you look at my lectures, would be anchored in mostly those 6 articles and the research paper, research from Deloitte, McKinsey, Stanford, and Harvard, and at the same time, World Economic Forum 2023 just have released 2023 report, worth sharing. Wonderful. It's a bit heavy though, like 125 pages. Okay, but I hope that I have covered most of it, so you don't have to take the pain of going through it.
120 pages, yes.
So let's talk about the changing job landscape. So what's going on? Why people are so concerned? Why Mr. Iyer is now focusing on the job change, right? Is it actually valid, or it's actually not that important, not that significant? And I would like to refer back to 3 different industrial revolutions that had happened. One, we know that the Britishers they led in 18th century. We've seen the steam engine, and that's based on the discovery of coal. Okay, and the next one that happened in Arab world, Venezuela, 1870s. Humankind all of a sudden discovered the black gold. That's oil, right?
Yes.
And the next one we've seen in 1970s, that where Bill Gates all of a sudden in their while studying in one of the states in the US, got access to a large thing like algorithm, and he developed the NAC, and at the same time different parts. Steve Jobs is one. have developed something which popularized that the algorithmics, and at the same time, those analytical thinking approach towards computing, and the third revolution came. Now, the question is that, well, those revolution, everyone got really anxious. They thought that their job is being taken away. But if you look at the literature and what had happened, there were more jobs actually added than the jobs being taken away. Now, the question is that, are we going through another revolution? Or what's going to happen? It will be all jobs taken away by chat GPTs and the AIs and the robotics. Let's look at what the research is suggesting, right? And at the same time, I'll be happy to have some conversation with you guys, taking some of the questions.
Yeah, actually, yes. Thanks, Tanu. Right now, what you have covered is a quite, now how things are changing. The beautiful, colorful market, open market, which every one of us, enjoy going to. When we go to on a trip, we want to go to these markets and browse. And
Right.
the joy, the joy has been taken away. Or I don't know. I'm nostalgic about a lot of things. Things change every time. And right now, the first one, as I said, the coal steam engine days. I don't know, the young generation doesn't know about the steam engine revolution. A lot of things attached to this. Titanic was a steam engine after all. And the oil comes and changes a lot. And electronics, computers. Let us give, before I go to anything, we'll give Puzin the time to go through everything, the researches that, you've gone through before this presentation as well.
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ရှင်အခု Mr. Tanu ကနေပြီးတော့မှသူပထမဆုံးပြောပြသွားတဲ့အကြောင်းအရာတွေကတော့ဒီမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့ research sources လေးတွေ့ရမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ် Mr. Tanu ကသူကိုယ်တိုင်ကသူ့တည်တည်နာပြုတဲ့သူတူဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မို့လို့ဆရာလေးဖြစ်တယ်ပေါ့နော် teacher လေးဖြစ်တယ် researcher လေးဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မို့လို့သူကတော့တဲ့အရန်လူတွေကပြင်းမှုကောင်းတယ်လို့ထင်တဲ့စာဖတ်တဲ့အလုပ်ကိုအရန်ဖတ်တယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့ဒီနေ့သူပြောပြသွားမယ့်အကြောင်းအရာတွေကတော့ research တွေနော်သူတည်တည်နာပြုလုပ်ထားတဲ့ဟာတွေနောက်တစ်ခါ articles တွေဒီပေါ်တွေမှာ base လုပ်သွားမှာပဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒါကတော့သူရှာဖွေထားတဲ့ဖတ်ထားတဲ့သူရဲ့ research တွေသူရဲ့research တွေသူရဲ့ articles တွေကိုသူကပြောပြထားတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီကနေမှသူပထမအဦးဆုံးပြောပြသွားချင်တာကကြတော့ revolution တွေပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့ဒီ revolution တွေဖြစ်တယ်ပေါ့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျမတို့သူ yearly 3ခုနှစ်ကလေး3ခုသူပြသွားတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီနှစ်မှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့ဒီ coal ပေါ့နော်ဒီကြောင်မီးသွေးကိုရှာဖွေတွေ့ရှိရတဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မို့လို့ revolution တွေဖြစ်တယ်နောက်တစ်ခါ gas ကိုရှာဖွေတဲ့ကြောင်ဖြစ်တယ်အဲ့ revolution တွေဖြစ်တဲ့အခါမှာကျမတို့မိကုန်းကဘာလဲဆိုတော့ကျမတို့လူသားတွေကအရန်စိတ်ပူကြတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဘာလို့စိတ်ပူတာလဲဒီလိုဒေါ်လာကြီးတွေဖြစ်တဲ့အခါကျတော့ဘာဖြစ်သွားမလဲကျမတို့ရဲ့အလုပ်တွေပျောက်သွားမယ်ပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့ရဲ့အလုပ်တွေကပျောက်သွားမယ်အလုပ်တွေယော့သွားမယ်ပျောက်သွားမယ်ဒါတွေကိုကျမတို့အရင်စိတ်ပူတယ်တဲ့ဒါပေမဲ့တဲ့သူပေါ့နော်စာပေတွေရဲ့ literature တွေရဲ့ evidence ပေါ့နော် literature တွေရဲ့ကဘာပြောလဲဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အလုပ်တွေကမယော့သွားတဲ့အပြင်ကိုအလုပ်တွေပို့ပြီးတော့မှပဲတိုးလာတာကိုလုပ်လို့ရတဲ့လုပ်ငန်းအမျိုးအစားတွေအလုပ်တွေပို့တိုးလာတာကိုတွေ့ရပါတယ်တဲ့ဒါပေမဲ့အဲ့မှာမေးစရာမေးခွန်းတစ်ခုရှိတာကဒီထပ်ပြီးတိုးလာမယ့်အလုပ်တွေအတွက်ကျမတို့ကအစင်သင့်ဖြစ်ပြီလားဆိုတော့ဒါလေးကတော့မေးစရာဖြစ်ပါတယ်တဲ့အဲ့ဒါကြောင့်မို့လို့ပေါ့နော်အခုမှမဟုတ်ဘူးလွန်ခဲ့တဲ့နှစ်ပေါင်းများစွာကလေဒီလိုဥပမာတွေရှိခဲ့တယ်ဒါကြောင့်မို့လို့ကျမတို့ဒီနေ့ webinar topic လေးဖြစ်လာတာဖြစ်ပါတယ် yes thank you
Yeah. Let's continue, Mr. Tanu. It will take a long time.
Sure. So this is a graphic that I feel that that may be easier to put things in context. Actually, we are going towards a fourth revolution, and it started with this gentleman actually. So he started with the term as the fourth industrial revolution, and we call it like 4.0. And he is being big in Europe. And he is Hendrik von Schill, and this quote is quite significant in understanding the impact of it. And he claims that this is not only a transformational change, but maybe we haven't seen that change in 150 years. The complexity and the scope is unprecedented, and that's why there is a little bit of worry. Okay. But hang on, let's see what the other report's saying. We'd like to just now touch base on the labor market trends. Okay, so here we're going to just take you through the emerging markets and the jobs that might, be lost, or some of the jobs trends that might be significant in next few decades. So let's look at a few key research. Okay, so I'm going to take you through those research, but I'm just thinking of Ms. Kin. Would you like to just read it out to them, and those who could read, you could read it out, and at the same time, I'm happy to take some of the questions at this stage.
Yes.
You say you can go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So အဲ့တော့လေကျမတို့ခုနပြောခဲ့သလိုပါပဲเนาะကျမဒီ webinar လေးရဲ့အစမှာပြောခဲ့သလိုပဲကျမတို့အခုရောက်ရှိနေရဆိုလို့ရှိရင်เนาะကျမတို့ fourth revolutionary ဟိုပါလို့ပြောလို့ရတယ်ပေါ့နော် fourth revolution ကိုရောက်နေပြီလို့ပြောလို့ရတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဆိုရင်ဒီမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျမတို့ EU head ပေါ့နော်ခုန Mr. Henrik ပေါ့သူ့ကိုပြသွားတယ်ဆိုတော့သူကဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ပြောခဲ့တယ်အခုကျမတို့ရောက်နေတဲ့ fourth revolution မှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ပေါ့နော်နှစ်ပေါင်း150လောက်မတွေ့ရတဲ့အရန်ကိုမှရှုပ်ထွေးတဲ့ပြောင်းလဲမှုတွေနဲ့ပြောင်းလဲလာမှာပေါ့ဟုတ်ပြီအဲ့ဒါကိုပြောခင်မှာ Mr. Tanu ကသူဘာကိုဆက်ပြောခြင်းလဲဆိုရင်ကျမတို့ရဲ့ labor market trend ပေါ့ကျမတို့ labor market ဒီ labor ဈေးကွက်ထဲမှာဘယ်လိုလမ်းကြောင်းသစ်တွေရှိနေလဲဆိုတာကိုသူကဆက်ပြီးတော့ပြောပြပေးမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ် Do you want me to read bullet points?
Yes.
Yes,
What
yes.
is the labor market trend now? Right.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay အခုလက်ရှိပေါ့နော်လက်ရှိမှာ labor market ပေါ့နော် labor market labor ဈေးကွက်ရဲ့လမ်းကြောင်းသစ်တွေကဘာတွေလဲဆိုရင်ပထမဆုံးက worker with only basic education and women face lower employment level ဆိုတော့အခြေခံပညာရှိတဲ့အလုပ်သမားတွေပေါ့နော်နောက်တစ်ခါနောက်တစ်ခါအမျိုးသမီးတွေပေါ့နော်သူတို့ဟာ lower employment ပြောချင်တဲ့သဘောကတော့သူတို့ employment ပေါ့လုပ်ခန့်မှုတွေကနည်းနည်းနှိမ့်ကျနေတယ် now real wages are declining as a result of ongoing cost of living crisis ပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့သိပြီးသားပါနော်ကျမတို့လူမှုနေထိုင်မှုကုန်ကျစရိတ်တွေရဲ့ crisis တွေကြောင့်မို့လို့ကျမတို့ရဲ့ wages တွေဟာရလေကြာနေတယ်ပေါ့နော်နောက်တစ်ခါ increased adoption of new and frontier technologies ပေါ့နော်technologies တွေရဲ့ဒီမွေးစားပေါ့နော် technology တွေရဲ့ဒီတိုးတက်လာမှုတွေကြောင့်မို့လို့လေကျမတို့ဒါတွေရင်ဆိုင်ရတယ်အဲ့တော့ the largest job creation and destruction effect come from environmental technological and economic trend နောက်တစ်ခါနောက်ဒီ5ချက်မြောက်ချက်ပေါ့နော်ကဘာပြောလဲဆိုရင် more than 75% of companies are looking to adopt big data cloud computing and AI feature 86% of company expecting to incorporate them into their operation in the next 5 years ပြောချင်တဲ့သဘောကလေကျမတို့ပေါ့နော်ဒီနောက်ပိုင်းနေမှာဒီ cloud computing system ဒီ AI feature တွေကိုကျမတို့အသုံးပြုလာတာဖြစ်တဲ့လာမှာမှုလို့ပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့လူသားတွေရဲ့လိုအပ်မှုတွေကနည်းလာမယ်လို့ပြောချင်တာပေါ့နော်ဥပမာလူသားတွေနဲ့လုပ်မဲ့အစား computing system တခုရေးဆွဲလိုက်မယ်ဒါကိုအသုံးပြုလိုက်မယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါမျိုးတွေဖြစ်လာမယ်နောက်တစ်ခါ e-commerce တွေပေါ့နော် e-commerce and digital trade are expected to be adopted by 75% of business ပါလေပြောချင်တာနောက်ပိုင်း85%လောက်တော့စီးပွားရေးတွေမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျမတို့စိုင်သွားပြီးဈေးမွေတော့ e-commerce တွေအခုတောင်ဖြစ်နေပါပြီနော်ဒါကအခုလက်ရှိ labor market trend မှာရှင်
Yeah,
I'm trying to understand that your local language. Okay, so I think that I anticipate it quite well, and that's human brain and human the way of translating language.
It's they used to say Henry Ford first came, introduced the cars, motor cars. There were no roads, so people were wondering where these cars are going to go. There is no market, there's no future for this. This motor cars, and the adaptation from there, how the world, ability to adapt, right now, your adaptation to Myanmar language, which you are hearing for the first time, such a large scale, its ability to adapt, right, ourselves, something that is the change, to the change. That's what I see here. Yeah, please continue.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, these are some graphics as well, but I think that we move on. Just the paucity of time. I mean, those numbers does matter, but at the same time, I think that you guys gonna get access if you have, if you need those numbers. Please reach out to them. That they definitely would share those numbers. This graphic that makes perfect sense. So if you look at the small boxes, and if you feel that that box represents 1 million jobs in next 5 years, then there would be jobs which would be added. And if you look at the green one, those are the jobs that would be added. That's projected. And if you look at left, okay, which is more reddish, like a purple, and those jobs will be lost, okay? Now you do basic subtraction. The job is being added, job is being taken out. There would be a deficit of 14 million jobs, okay? And those 14 million jobs with the existing understanding and the definition of unemployment, which we say that the people who are willing and able to do job. Okay, so if I'm not willing to do job and I'm out of job, I will not be counted as the person who would join a labor force, right? So the complexity is that I would be legally ready to do a job within a country. And the second would be that I am legally allowed, willing to do as well. So there would be a deficit of 2%, right? Now, think about it. 2% is that huge? How you think, how you interpret the number? Mr. Mohan, what do you think? The 2% difference of jobs of being added, being taken out, is it significant? What do you think?
I think it's very, very significant, right? But if you compare to 7 billion, 7 billion population, it's huge. It's very, very phenomenally huge. The 2%.
That's right. So if you look at the total population, there would be, some people who are aged more than 60, 65 within the legal age, and with 18 years of 0 to 18 years will not be able to calculate that. And there would be some, because of the government, they give unemployment benefits, we have to take that number out as well. 2% is quite significant. However, there are ways to address. One of the things that could be addressed with the mode of entrepreneurship, right? Mr. Ayer out here, he doesn't work actually, but at the same time, he is just making sure that many of people there in Myanmar and the neighboring countries, he makes sure that he offers the job, right? There is another way to interpret that 2% could be embedded if someone is willing to take risk. And we're going to talk about the whole understanding of entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship later on. Let's move on. We're going to talk about the fastest growing roles. If you look at it, those are the industries that you can find that more people would be needed. AI, machine learning, sustainability specialists, business intelligence analysts, renewable energy engineers, solar energy installation, along with the other one, if you look at it, heavy truck and bus services. It might surprise you, but if you follow the British economy, there's a huge dearth of drivers. And British, basically a few weeks back, beg my pardon, Rishi Sunak addressed it in their parliament, saying that they might have to open up the visa for the Eastern European or for a few Asians, because there's a huge lack of heavy truck and bus drivers, and that is disrupting the supply chain. Okay, so look at it, how the impact looks like. And if you think that to some or for some individuals that is a low-paying job, it actually may not be. Okay, so we also need to understand the contextual demand of those jobs. If you look at the construction workers in Canada, in some places, perhaps they get paid more than a school teacher or even an engineer who is being in centrally. I'm talking about the real wage. So I'm going to define what is real wage. Okay, so what wage? That the wage to buy goods and services, that's real wage. Anyway, I think that I'm talking way too much about the economic term, but I definitely would like to simplify it. Let's look at the fastest growing job posting on LinkedIn. And if you look at it, and you're going to find that there are some similarities that might go on. Again, I move on because I thought that I'm not going to talk much. It's going to be more discussional. So my next slide is the fastest declining jobs. Okay, So what are those? Clerical secretarial jobs, bank tellers, related clerks, postal service clerks, cashiers, ticket clerks. We have vending machines nowadays, data entry clerks. Now, if you've been looking at that, you thought, okay, none of us actually involved in those businesses or those works. However, if you look at the totality of the total economy, there are lots and lots, basically millions of people who be depending on those jobs. Okay. And those jobs, they are either, number one, mentally they're old to adopt new skill, or transferability of their skills into new industries is quite limited. So if they are displaced from that job, it's going to be difficult for them to get a new job. So what is large-scale job growth? Where I think that there will be growth in next 10 years. Teachers, you can feel happy. Okay, educational industry, 10% more. Although if you look at the different countries, that there are they have a different manifestation of those expectation. If you look at UK itself, 1/3 of the teachers would leave UK because of appalling teaching conditions, and there will be a huge demand of teachers in the UK. Okay,
Around
but
the world.
overall, around the world is 10% increase, 10% growth.
Yeah, but the point is the declining in the supply. The supply is very, even if you look at Myanmar, there is, like 3-4 years back, there was something like 8,000 to 10,000, people going off, but new people taking up teaching positions are very, very less. And there is a demand there is always a demand for good teachers.
Always.
So, yeah, and plus
that never changed, right?
Yeah, and there is a 10%, and this is 10% increase in these jobs, right? So maybe for for some some listeners to think, like maybe some kids to think taking teaching jobs.
I mean, I could tell you that. Well, I have my friends in perhaps all the industries, and I find the teaching job is quite rewarding. That helped me travel around the world. That helped me understanding different cultures. But again, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about many teaching professionals.
You're in
not only that.
You're in the top 1%. There are 99% of the teachers, right? They are in
at the same time, Mr. Ayer, that I feel that, well, if that one top percent would be aspirational, if and there would be more teachers who can do that. And it's happening. If you look at the trend, there are more teachers, there are good, competent teachers. In fact, teachers from different industries. I have many engineering friends, and my students actually who studied engineering. They are coming to teach sciences, mathematics, data science, computer science. So it's going on, and I'm quite happy to see them doing. And my juniors in the industry, they've been doing exceptionally well for themselves.
No.
So we look at. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Your comment is important.
What I'm saying is, there are the other jobs. You in the previous slide you were talking about some of the hard jobs, like if you 20 years back, a plumber visit to your home, just to adjust a little bit in Singapore, let's say a visit would cost you $300.
Right.
Just a visit, and just he will come and just to make some little adjustments, and you will see $300 for this little adjustment. But that's they used to say where to adjust, like so that is, but there are jobs in the world, not in Myanmar, still Myanmar is these jobs are not recognized, but if you look at many places, these are all recognized, and you have paid really, really well, and those jobs are paid well.
Yeah, absolutely. I could share when I was living in Beijing. Then the amount of money that I paid for my health is basically that definitely some of the engineers are being paid. I'm talking about the entry level engineers are paid the same. So I paid someone for 2 hours, and those are even not no organized sector jobs. And the similar, in fact, Singapore, that's much more. And US, again, it's much more. UK, it's much more. So that's why people, and you know the trend that the mothers with the newborn babies, they do not come back to the industry because raising a baby through a household would be much more expensive than making money joining in industry. So the traditional understanding of that, well, those menial jobs, we call it the blue collar jobs, doesn't yield money. I think that we have to shy away from that belief.
Yeah, when there is no skill, there is no jobs. The low skill jobs, they are all being mechanized. And when you get into banks those days,
Right.
million people, but hardly you can see when you get into a bank internationally, you can see 3-4 people. That's it, and you don't see like credit processing officers. Those people only
Absolutely.
can see now. Now tellers removed, completely removed from the system. Front office, there's no one in the front office, only machines.
There's another interesting thing that had emerged is the agricultural professionals, especially the agricultural equipment operators. That's another emerging trend. So that's quite interesting, and it's good for the countries, especially the South Asian countries or the Southeast Asian countries where the billions of people live. That's a good thing because those are still reliant on agriculture, and there are room for generating jobs in those sectors. This is something that's related to job and task. So if you look at those headings, those are basically communication and interaction, and then physical and manual job activities. If you look at that, that's quite interesting one. Administering, reasoning, and decision making. And if we find there are 2 surveys that took place with Fortune 500 companies and some companies in unorganized sectors as well. So one survey is just conducted before COVID. I mean, before when the COVID emerged as one of the pandemic in start of the COVID 2020. If you look at the darker line graph or line diagram, they would say that what the situation there on that particular year. So in survey 2020, it's going to be what situation particular year presented by the darker graph. And the lighter graph is that what would be the situation after 5 years. That means 2025. The similar thing happened when those industries given the same questions. The only difference between these 2 surveys is the year past in 2023. If you look at those blues, you find some displacement of blues if you try to compare. That means what was the outlook in 2020 and what is the outlook right now? And you see there are some changes. For example, all task, they thought there would be a lot of changes, but now they think the changes would be less. Okay, so it easily captures that how those changes and understanding of changes are transient. That depends only on one time, and then the future prediction with the best business leaders, best economists, that also goes wrong. And those changes, the displacement of changes, are sometimes, 10%, which is big. So we are talking about why I am sharing this. I'm talking about 2% displacement, 2% loss in job. That could also be wrong because the same data showing that their prediction in 3 years' time has been changed because of the circumstances. Because we call it PEST, the political situation, economic situation, social situation, and technological situation. Okay, we move on. Any queries or any questions with the trend so far?
From audience, we'll take questions at the end.
Okay.
Because we still have a lot to, this is going to be a 10 minutes. We may, lengthen this. But, last few slides. So, Puzin, you can Just
If I
go.
can get the graph where we talked
Sure.
about losses and 2% losses in the job,
Yeah.
that would be great. Okay.
For sure.
So ဟုတ်ကဲ့ရှင်မိဘများအားလုံးပဲပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့ဒီမှာ Mr. Tanu ကတော့လေသူကဒီ graph လေးပြထားပါတယ်နော်ဒီ graph ရဲ့ square တစ်ခုစီကသူကဥမာအလုပ်ပေါ့နော်တစ်တန်းကိုသူကကိုစားပြုတယ်ပေါ့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်မိဘများမြင်တွေ့နေရမယ်ခရမ်းအောင် graph ကကြတော့ဒါကဘာလဲဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လွန်ခဲ့တဲ့နှစ်တွေပေါ့နော်လွန်ခဲ့တဲ့နှစ်တွေမှာရှိခဲ့တဲ့ graph တွေအလုပ်တွေပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီကနေမှကျမတို့ရှေ့ဆက်သွားမယ်ပေါ့နော်ရှေ့ဆက်သွားမယ်ဥပမာထားပါတော့ဆိုကြပါစို့2023ပေါ့ကျမတို့အခုရောက်ရှိနေတဲ့နှစ်ကနေပြီးတော့နောက်9နှစ်အတွင်းမှာဘယ်လိုအလုပ်တွေကပေါ်ပေါက်လာမှာလဲထပ်ပြီးတော့ပေါ်ပေါက်လာမှာလဲဆိုတာကိုကြည့်တဲ့အခါမှာတဲ့သူကပေါ့နော်ဒီအစိမ်းရောင်ပေါ့နော်ဒီဘက်ကမြင်ရမယ်ဘယ်ဘက်ချမ်းကအစိမ်းရောင်ကgraph လေးကကြတော့သူကအဲ့ဒီနောက်ထပ်2029နောက်ထပ်9နှစ်မှာပေါ်ပေါက်လာမဲ့လူတွေဖန်တီးလာမဲ့တီထွင်လာမဲ့အလုပ်တွေပေါ့ဟုတ်ပြီဒါဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျမတို့math ပေါ့နော်သင်္ချာလေးလုပ်ကြည့်မယ်ဆိုရင်အခုလက်ရှိရှိနေတဲ့အလုပ်တွေထပ်ပြီးတော့ create လုပ်မဲ့အလုပ်တွေနှုတ်ကြည့်လိုက်မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ね तू က200%လောက်တော့အလုပ်တွေကပျောက်ဆုံးသွားမယ်လို့သူကပြောပါတယ်ကျွန်မ share slide တွေမှာလည်းပြောခဲ့သလိုပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်တို့ generation တွေတစ်ခုပြီးတစ်ခုပြောင်းလဲလာတဲ့အခါမှာတချို့အလုပ်တွေကမရှိတော့ဘူးပေါ့နော်တချို့လုပ်ငန်းတွေဥပမာဆိုကြပါစို့ e-commerce ပေါ့နော် online ကနေဈေးဝယ်တာတွေကခေတ်စားလာတယ် physical store တွေနေလာတယ်ဒါမျိုးပေါ့အဲ့ဒါကြောင့်မလို့အခုဒီ graph လေးอ่ะဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ね तू ကပေါ့နော်နောက်ထပ်9နှစ်အတွက် तू ကပြနေတာပေါ့နော်နောက်ထပ်9နှစ်မှာဆိုရင်အလုပ်2% လောက်တော့200%လောက်တော့အခုလက်ရှိရှိနေတဲ့အလုပ်တွေဟာပျောက်ဆုံးသွားမယ်လို့သူတို့ကခံမှန်းပါတယ်တဲ့ yes
Yeah.
next slide yes ဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒီကနေမှာ Mr. Tanu ကသူကဘာကိုဆက်ပြောသွားလဲဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဒါဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ပေါ့တဲ့ကျမတို့ဘယ်လိုအလုပ်မျိုးတွေဘယ်လိုလုပ်ငန်းမျိုးတွေက growing ဖြစ်လာမလဲဆိုရင်ခုနကကျွန်မပြောတဲ့ AI နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ဒီပေါ့နော်ဒီ robotic နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ဟာတွေဒါမျိုးတွေကနောက်နှစ်တီမှာလာမယ့်နှစ်တီမှာလူတွေကအရန်ကိုလိုအပ်လာမယ်ခစ်စားလာမယ်နောက်တစ်ခါ sustainability specialist တွေနောက်တစ်ခါဒီစီးပွားရေးနဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့နော် analysis ပေါ့နော် analysis လုပ်ပြီးတဲ့သူတွေနောက်တစ်ခါ renewable energy engineers တွေဒီလုပ်ငန်းတွေကတော့နောက်နှစ်တွေမှာနောက်နှစ်ပိုင်းတွေမှာ growing ဖြစ်လာမယ်လို့ယူဆပါတယ်အဲ့လိုပဲတစ်ချိန်တည်းမှာပဲပေါ့နော် faster growing role လို့ပဲ declining role ပေါ့ကျသွားမဲ့လိုအပ်ချက်နည်းလာမဲ့လုပ်ငန်းတွေလည်းရှိပါတယ်အဲ့အခန်းကဏ္ဍတွေကဘယ်လိုဟာမျိုးတွေလဲဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းသူကဆက်ပြောထားပါတယ်the declining role please
Slides. Yeah, you only can operate.
yes ဆိုတော့လေဆိုတော့ဒါဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့ခုနကကျွန်မပြောသလိုပဲပေါ့နော်ခုနကလုပ်ငန်းတွေကလိုအပ်လာမယ်ဒါဆိုရင်ဒီလုပ်ငန်းတွေကကြတော့လေလိုအပ်ချက်တွေနည်းလာမယ်ပေါ့နော်ဘယ်လိုလုပ်ငန်းတွေလဲဆိုရင်ခုနကပြောတဲ့ကိုရေးရရှိ role လိုမျိုးဟာမျိုးတွေနောက်တစ်ခါbank မှာပေါ့နော် bank မှာစီးရေးလိုလုပ်မျိုးတွေဒါမျိုးပါဆိုကျမတို့ကဒီ robotic တွေဒီဟိုပါပေါ့နော်ဒီ computer cloud ဟိုဟာတွေနဲ့အစားထိုးလာတာပေါ့နော်ဒီ system technologies နဲ့အစားထိုးလာတဲ့အခါမှာဒီလုပ်ငန်းလေးတွေကတော့ရှေ့နှစ်တွေမှာလိုအပ်ချက်နည်းလာမယ်လို့ယူဆပါတယ်တဲ့ yes next
So we will also pass this, presentation to
Yes,
the
yes.
audience, to the parents, to have a look at it. And I hope some teachers are there. They will have some questions also. We can continue.
yes
So go to the section 4,
Yeah.
Mr. Tanu.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So we're going to now talk about the skill revolution, or that what specific skill we are talking about. Just make sure that we would able to give our students to those skills so that they are not the one who would lose out through the whole process. So I think that one of the things that we have heard are our parents being always saying that, well, there would be necessary to understand those theories, those knowledge are so important. But nowadays knowledge is just a commodity. Everything is, you could get it done. In fact, all the aspect, or if not all, most of the aspects could be picked it up if you have a good research skill, less than 2 hours. I promise. Okay. However, you have to have a good research skill. That's another thing. But and the way that the presentation is being done, maybe that's another half an hour, right? But in order to put things together, it requires time for sure, because then you need to think of that, well, what are the audience? Okay, what are the things that you have 100 different things, but you only have 1 hour? What are the things that you would put in? What are the things that will not be sufficient or not be appropriate? that does involve analytical skill, right? So let's look at that, what the research saying that what skill would be important, not the knowledge, because knowledge won't be important for sure. They are saying that the digital literacy and adaptability, which is nothing but the emotional intelligence, right? And problem solving, those are the skills that would be required. I have visual to just giving you a more focused understanding of the skills required for the next generation. Here it is. Okay, so that's 2023 data, and we are talking about those basic skills. And I think this is one of the most important and intriguing points out here, guys. So those skills, those are the responses by all industries. Okay, that's my data, that's industry specific data. And if you look at that, analytical thinking is number one. Okay. And if you look at analytical thinking, that comes under cognitive skill, right? The second one is a creative thinking. Again, creative thinking, that also does come under cognitive skill. So overall, as you understand, all the teachers like us, what we do, we help develop cognitive skill. So we are okay, we are still relevant, okay? So don't worry about it. But at the same time, parents pushing skills, pushing for study, that's still relevant, okay? But in a different way though, you don't ask them to memorize stuff, rather than ask them to research, ask them to solve a problem, ask them to communicate, sometimes ask them to socialize. That's one of the key areas. Because teamwork, that does require to be a little bit of socialization. One person who is working in silo may not be the right to thrive in the future job market. If you look at the third one, I think that no one thinks about it. So because everyone is thinking, okay, you have to be good at physics, you have to be good at mathematics, or English, or spoken English, whatever. But if you look at number, it says resilience, flexibility, and agility. Okay. The next question is that comes with, if you look at it, which that we're talking about, the core skill is the self-efficacy. That means, again, you do not look outside, you basically look inside and you control your emotion. Okay? You postpone your sense of joy, right? So your expression, or how agile you are to pick up new things or feel challenged with new situation, that is key. Number 4, motivation and self-awareness. Now the question is that, can we teach? There's a big thing, big research going on in all teaching department, all graduate schools, that can we teach motivation? Because motivation comes from inside or outside inspiration, motivation. There's a big debate going on. A lot of study had happened, right? And self-awareness. Self-awareness means, well, do I work good in the morning? Or I am night owl, I work better? Do I irritated with certain behavior of other people? Not, right? Where my performance goes to the peak, or where I feel miserable. So that understanding, that awareness is more important. I know, I'm trying to know. My emotions always overpower my actions most of the. Still, I'm trying to learn, and I got it. Book clock 5 a.m. perhaps with the sweetest time for me. My productivity increases, and 7 p.m. is perhaps the worst. And I'm inching towards 7 p.m. So guys, please excuse me and forgive me for my low productivity. More management skills are there. If you look at quality control, resource management, operate, and those are a few things that I want you guys to take a look at it. There's one interesting thing that had come up with, that ethics. So in traditional businesses, I must tell you the story. in traditional businesses, few decades back, there was a misconception. The conception was that more ethical the company is, their level of revenue and profitability would go down.
No,
But it's actually the other way around.
yes.
It's the other way around. There's a correlation between good governance, ethical businesses, and profitability. There used to be the convention that is basically reciprocal. Right now, it is related. So more ethical the companies are, the profit level or the possibility of making profit would increase. That's another interesting observation of mine. Teaching and mentoring, that's our work. We are trying hard. All the parents, please note that all your teachers under the stewardship of Mr. Iyer, they've been trying hard and have organized this, right? Inviting me to have those, giving this opportunity. So teaching and mentoring, yes, all the teachers are trying extremely hard out there. I move on.
Yeah.
Soft skills. So communication, teamwork, emotional intelligence, those are important. And those comes under soft skill. And how they complement technical skill. Technical person with lack of soft skill has less percentage to thrive. Okay, sometimes, and that's such a, I'm going to say such unfortunate thing. A very technical person with less emotional intelligence have less possibility of thriving well than a person which have a high emotional intelligence.
So they basically say the entrepreneurs versus educated people. Like the risk-taking ability of an entrepreneur and who can run the show. So it's very important that whatever technical skill you have the emotional readiness to take the challenges and adaptability. So that when you go to the previous page, it's all there. Resilience, how important is resilience building, and so many things. Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Iyer, I have to rush through. I have less time now. So that's a focus, entrepreneurship. And like down the time, not a decade or two, maybe decade or most of the people will do businesses. They would offer services. Okay, job. Okay, so if you, especially the parents that you have, give them money and say that, well, you trade, you do something, find out that how you're going to earn money, and that, right? The ability to take risk, getting a fixed resource or the fixed asset, and try to think about that how they're going to earn money is the future. Won't be any job. So entrepreneurship is something that everyone should focus on. And that's why IB is also focusing on giving, offering business management and those subjects early in their career, so that they understand that, well, how it works, right? And this is a skill. Entrepreneurship is a skill. The ability to take risk is a skill. And we need obligation to teach the students the skill. Internships, that's another one. Take a note of it. If you think that you, or Mr. Iyer as well, if you think that you have connection with the industry, one of the best experience that you could offer your students is the ability to see the real world, to see how people are interacting in the world of business. Okay, and networking as well. Okay, we talked about it, lifelong learning, and I think that I'm not the expert out here. I have read a few books and have done something, but most of the things that I actually don't know. Okay, I'm still figuring. So I'm the lifelong learner, and the attitude to learn, that's more important. So again, the difference between knowledge versus competencies. No one gives for knowledge. No one, at least not in future. some people would give job for competencies because competencies as skills are quite well related. Nowadays, that everyone, Elon, well, I'm going to give you a job with a person who has that. Because if a person has the attitude to learn, they would learn the competencies, get the skill, and they would get the knowledge. So those relationship is very, very important for everyone to understand. Continuous learning, because again, we term which call the structural changes. The continuous learning basically somehow ease out the ill effect of structural changes. And you know what? There are like organizations where you could learn for free. Go for it. Online course, several philanthropists had invested billions of dollars for offering free online lessons, free online courses, upskilling courses. Go ahead, just go for it. Again, just like ethics, that's a new thing, diversity and inclusion. Most of the countries, especially where women is not been given right, they have not done well in terms of economic development, right? And that's, everyone said that. Why that's happening? Because the labor market participation is less. So inclusion means ability to offer job to the person who can do the job, irrespective of sex, color of the skin, race, or any discriminatory factors. And the good thing is that nowadays, ladies and gents, you see that if you're born, okay, a person and you're good at it, you have better chance than a person who is actually white. If you look at it and think about it, and you're going to understand it why. Because all the companies, all the blue chip companies, all the Fortune 500 companies, they are basically doing the tick boxing, arguably, or they are actually caring and giving somehow the chances, or giving the due chances, to the person with color or person with person from any background. So this is the right time for everyone, especially this part of the world, to go out there and to prove. And that the whole journey already had started. If you look at the the people who've been there in the UK and the US and in prominent companies, they are person of colors. Still, we are not there yet. Okay, still the revolution already started. So take advantage of it.
No, ability to sustain in a job, in producing results, in consistently improving themselves and developing. And I think in the long term, that only sustain. The rest of the things will disappear initially. It will be there initially, but eventually, and I believe so. My experience says. So that's where the ethics comes in personal ethics, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that how are you going to make that change? How are you bow down the world to recognize and to accept the fact that with skills, with capabilities should be treated same, is the way of quality work, and not for a day, but day out. And that's why if you look at all the industries, then some individuals, some nationalities are being preferred. Okay, that's another part of preferences which I do not want. We call it a reverse racism as well. So there are many terms that had come up. This is not the platform, but I think that equity, diversity, and inclusion is big, and there are the opportunities for us, okay, to explore and to thrive. Gig economy, some of you have heard. If you don't know, there's a big thing going on, which is called gig economy. And that means that there will be time workers. There will be a pool of workers, and the companies, the big companies, they are actually would connect with those workers directly and get things done. So that would bring more flexibility. And if you look at 2019 data, it's like 55 million participants are there. And it is estimated about like a 35% of the US workers, they are into that gig economy. And which is great because that brings not only flexibility, if you're good at your trade, there's a more possibility, then you don't have to work conventionally, go to the office. However, you could perhaps earn more money or more prestige or do challenging works, okay, by doing different works. And that's exciting. That's another facet of next generation work. So what we can do as educators, so that's perhaps the last two points that we'd like to make. What we as educators, what we've been doing, just to let you know that we are aware that there should be a change in the way that we teach. It's still what's going on is 200 years, last 200 years, we're teaching in the same way, arguably. But I'm pretty sure that no international schools nowadays, they don't do that. So one of the things that we call is approaches to teaching and approaches to learning. And this is one of the most differentiating factors. And we teach them quite explicitly what are the social skills, what are the research skill, what are the thinking skill, communication skill, and self-management skill. And the elementary that goes up to the high school, especially with the IB program and many other curriculums also following this, they're adopting this. As parent, like that's the next one. As a parent, what would you do? Like you have sent your students to BrainWorks, that's fine. But is there anything that you can do when your children are at home? Yes, you can do a few things. Research says that you could help them encourage curiosity and learning. So you don't have to make them, read, rather than saying, well, you see what you see this, why you see this. Why do you think that it's happening? It's just helping them to be more curious. Curiosity is the first thing. The rest of the things, then the student agencies, right? Out of curiosity. So you need to encourage your child to be more curious. Digital literacy is the second one that I would like to talk about. How just make sure that, well, they know the gadgets, okay? Rather than you doing it, ask them to do it. Ask them to, suppose, play music from your phone and say, yeah, why did you try this? Or intentionally change maybe the area or the language and say, yeah, can you please figure it out? So you are allowing them to handle digital media, but at the same time, you are also forcing them to solve. That's a problem-solving attitude. Critical thinking, well, if they want that, then ask them to step away from their emotion and try to understand that how critically the same thing could be 5 different ways. Make them write or make them, have them their iPad and make a web diagram and explain or let them give a presentation in front of you that what are the 5 ways, which 5 ways, which one is the best one and which one is the worst idea and why? What are the preconditions of those ideas? The next one is super important. Give them diverse experience. It's not only the first class or business class when you travel. Maybe have a AirAsia as well, okay? The last seat. Or what about a train journey through Myanmar, okay? Not bad. Or what about the bus journey? Maybe worst possible case, okay? In India, there are local trains, okay? Those are very, very interesting experiences. Get them exposed to. I know that you perhaps would feel that, well, you don't take it as a parent, but implementation, you are teaching them to take those experiences. provide real world experience. So take them along for educational trip, like your trip. There are many things. You don't have to go for fancy location. You can go to some places, maybe in Myanmar. I have visited Myanmar, and thank you, Mr. Mohan and Dr. Harish, for welcoming me at that time. It was like fascinating country, fascinating. I think that I could take my daughter to perhaps 10 different things to understand about real world. So give them that exposure. And the last one is, maybe last two, is having a growth mindset. Okay, if they fail, say, well, you failed today, not tomorrow. So always there is a chance. Okay, having those growth mindset and the ability, innate thing, okay, essential thinking that every human being can improve. Every human being. Why not you? You probably go through research done by one fascinating lady, Carol Dweck of Stanford. So she had popularized the term as a growth mindset. You could see one of the TED videos as well, amazing video, okay? Or have your child see the video, TED Talk. And the last one is mental health. Remember that no matter what happens, mental health is perhaps the most important thing in today's world. We don't support our kids as parents and teachers. Who would support? That is it.
Yeah, we
My
will go.
side.
Yeah, we will take some questions. Before that, Pusin, you can go for a summary. Yeah, I know there's a lot, but we want to complete this, right? So that's why, but eventually we will pass it to the presentation, and we can also take questions from you and pass it to Mr. Tanu and take it later also. Other than this, after some time, we can take this questions. Again, we are going to take some questions, but I'm saying after you see the presentation and the whole presentation and see some questions come up, please ask again to us. Yes, Pusin, please go for it.
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါရှင်ကျမတို့ဒီနေ့ presentation လေးကိုလည်းကျမတို့ဒီနေ့ webinar လေးမှာတက်ရောက်တဲ့မိဘအများကိုအဝေမျှပေးသွားမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီ presentation လေးကိုကြည့်ပြီးတော့မှနောက်ထပ်မေးခွန်းတွေမေးစရာရှိရဆိုရင်လည်းကျမတို့ရဲ့ဒီပေါ့နော် team ကိုဒီ page တွေကနေဆက်သွယ်လို့ရပါတယ်အခုလက်ရှိမှာလည်းကျမတို့မေးခွန်းတွေကိုဖြည့်ပေးမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီမေးခွန်းလေးတွေမဖြည့်ပေးခင်မှာအခုကျမပြီးတော့တာလေးတွေကိုအတူချုံလေးဘာသာပြန်ပေးရမယ်ဆိုရင်တော့ပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့ကလေးတွေမှာကျမတို့ကျောင်းသားကျောင်းသူတွေကျမတို့သားသမီးတွေမှာ knowledge လို့ခေါ်တဲ့ဘဟုတုတကတော့တစ်ပိုင်းပေါ့နော်ဒါပေမဲ့သူတို့မှာအဓိကလိုအပ်လာမှာကဘာလဲဆိုတော့ skills လို့ခေါ်တဲ့စွမ်းရည်တွေလိုအပ်လာမယ်အဲ့တော့နောက်လာမယ့်9နှစ်ပေါ့နောက်လာမယ့်10နှစ်နောက်တစ်ချိန်ပေါ့နော်အခုကျမကလေးဆိုရင်အသက်9နှစ်ပေါ့သူနောက်ထပ်10နှစ်15နှစ်သူလုပ်ငန်းဝင်တဲ့အချိန်မှာသူ့အတွက်လိုအပ်လာမယ့် skill set တွေကဘာတွေလဲ knowledge တဲ့ skill set စွမ်းရည်တွေကပို့ပြီးတော့အရေးကြီးလာပြီပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီမှာဆိုရင်ခုနကသူ graph ထဲမှာဆို skill set တွေအများကြီးပြထားပါတယ်เนาะ analytical thinking လို့ခေါ်တဲ့ဒီပေါ့ analyze လုပ်နိုင်တာခွဲခြမ်းစိတ်ဖြာနိုင်တာနောက်တစ်ခါ creative thinking လို့ခေါ်တဲ့တီထွင်ကြံစနိုင်တာပေါ့နော်ဒါမျိုးတွေပေါ့ဒီ skills တွေကပို့ပြီးတော့အရေးကြီးလာပါတယ်နောက်တစ်ခါ resilient လို့ခေါ်တဲ့ခံနိုင်ရည်ရှိမှုတွေအရေးကြီးလာအဲ့တော့ကျမတို့မိဘတွေအနေနဲ့သူကအဲ့ဒီမှာတော့ဘာတွေအဲ့တော့ skill set knowledge တဲ့ skill set ကပို့ပြီးတော့အရေးကြီးလာပြီဟုတ်ပြီဒါဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ねကျမတို့ educator တွေကျမတို့ဆရာမတွေအနေနဲ့ဘာတွေလုပ်ပေးလို့ရလဲပေါ့အဲ့ဒါနံပါတ်1ပြောပါတယ်ဆိုတော့ဆရာမတွေအနေနဲ့ဘာတွေလုပ်ပေးလို့ရလဲဆိုရင်ကျမတို့ဆရာမတွေအနေနဲ့ကလည်း aware ဖြစ်ပါတယ်သိပါတယ်ကျမတို့ပညာရေးကပြောင်းလဲနေပြီကျမတို့အရင်တော့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျမတို့ကျောင်းတွေမှာဘယ်လိုစတင်လဲဒါပေမဲ့ international school တွေမှာတော့ဒီလိုမတင်ပါဘူးပေါ့နော်အဲ့မှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်သူ approaches to learning လို့ခေါ်တဲ့ကလေးတွေကျမတို့ကလေးတွေသင်ယူတဲ့အခါမှာပို့ပြီးတော့သင်ယူနိုင်မဲ့ခုနကပြောရဲပေါ့နော် research skills တွေကျမတို့ကလေးတွေမှာဘာတွေအရေးကြီးလာပြီလဲ research လုပ်နိုင်တဲ့ skills တွေဒါတွေအရေးကြီးလာပြီတော့ဒီလို skills တွေကိုကျမတို့ကသင်ကြားပေးပါတယ်ဘ ഹു တုတဆိုတဲ့ knowledge အပြင်ပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့ဒီလို skills တွေကိုသင်ကြားပေးပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီမှာနောက်တစ်ခါကျမတို့မိဘတွေအနေနဲ့ရောဘာလို့ရမလဲပေါ့ကျမတို့ကလေးတွေကိုနောက်10နှစ်15နှစ်သူတို့လုပ်ငန်းဝင်တဲ့အချိန်အတွက် prepare လုပ်ပေးဖို့အတွက်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျမတို့မိဘတွေအနေနဲ့ကောဘာလုပ်ပေးနိုင်လဲဟုတ်ပြီကျမတို့ international school တွေနိုင်ငံတကာအဆင့်မီကျောင်းတွေကိုပို့ထားတယ်ဒါပဲလားဆိုတော့ဒါအပြင်လုပ်ပေးနိုင်တာလေးတွေရှိသေးရပေါ့နော်နံပါတ်1ကတော့သူပြောသွားပါတယ်ဘာလဲဆိုလို့ရှိရင် curiosity လို့ခေါ်ရဲကျမတို့ကလေးတွေရဲ့စူးစမ်းလေ့လာခြင်းတဲ့စိတ်တွေကိုပို့ပြီးတော့ဖြစ်စေရမယ် ဖြစ်စီအောင်လို့ကျမတို့ပံ့ပိုးပေးရဘယ်လိုပံ့ပိုးပေးလို့ရလဲဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဥပမာအကြောင်းအရာတစ်ခုပေါ့ဒါလေးကိုမြင်နေဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဟုတ်ပြီဒါလေးမှာဘာတွေတွေ့လဲဘာလို့ဒီလိုပြောရလဲဆိုရင်မိကွန်းလေးတွေများများမေးပေးခြင်းအပြင်ကျမတို့ကလေးတွေရဲ့စူးစမ်းလို့ခြင်းစိတ်ကိုပို့ပြီးတော့မှဖွံ့ဖြိုးစေတယ်ဒါမျိုးတွေလုပ်ပေးလို့ရတယ်နောက်တစ်ခါနောက်တစ်ခုပေါ့နော်curiosity အဲ့ဒါပြီးသွားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်နောက်တစ်ခုကကြတော့ကျမတို့ကလေးတွေမှာဘာတွေလုပ်ပေးလို့ရသေးလဲပေါ့နော်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဟိုပါပေါ့ digital literacy လို့ခေါ်တဲ့ဒီ digital နဲ့ technology နဲ့ပတ်သက်တာတွေကိုကျမတို့ဘာလို့လုပ်ပေးလို့ရလဲဆိုရင်ဥပမာကျမတို့ဖုန်းကနေပြီးတော့တချင်းဖွင့်ခိုင်းတာမျိုးပေါ့နော်နောက်တစ်ခါဒီ language တစ်ခုကနေတစ်ခုပြောင်းခိုင်းတာမျိုးဒါမျိုးလေးတွေကိုကျမတို့ခိုင်းပြီးတော့မှသူတို့ရဲ့ဒီ technology နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ဟာလေးတွေကိုသူတို့ကိုဖွံ့ဖြိုးစေလို့ရတယ်နောက်တစ်ခါ critical thinking နဲ့ problem solving တွေပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့ဒီလိုမျိုးလေးတွေခိုင်းခြင်းအပြင်သူတို့ရဲ့ problem solving skills တွေကလည်းပို့ပြီးတော့မှတိုးတက်သွားမယ်နောက်တစ်ခါသူတို့ရဲ့diverse experience ကိုလည်းမိဘတွေအနေနဲ့သူတို့မိတ်ဆက်ပေးရမယ်အများတမ်းမဲ့သူတို့ကိုပေါ့နော်ပထမတန်းကနေပြီးတော့သူတို့ခီးသွားခိုင်းတာတဲ့ဆိုင်တခါတလေလေးလဲမြေထားလေးနဲ့ခီးသွားခိုင်းတာမျိုးပေါ့ဘတ်ကားလေးနဲ့ခီးသွားခိုင်းတာမျိုးဒီလိုမျိုး diverse ဖြစ်တဲ့ experience ကိုကျမတို့မိဘတွေနဲ့ပေးလို့ရပါတယ်တဲ့နောက်တစ်ခါ real world experience တွေပေါ့နော်ဆိုရင်လည်းတော့သူတို့တန်းထဲမှာကိုခီးသွားရင်းနဲ့သူတို့တင်ထားတာလေးနဲ့ပတ်သက်တာလေးကိုပြောပေးလို့ရပါတယ်တဲ့နောက်ဆုံးနှစ်ခုပေါ့နော် second last thing ကကြတော့လေသူကgrowth mindset လို့ခေါ်တဲ့ဘယ်လိုပြောမလဲအရာကိုအကောင်းမြင်တတ်တာဥပမာကျမဟုတ် okay ဒီနေ့မှာအဆင်မပြေဘူးဒီနေ့မှာမလုံနိုင်ဘူးဒါပေမဲ့နောက်နေ့မှာလုံနိုင်မှာပေါ့ဆိုတဲ့စိတ်ကလေးပေါ့နော်ဒီ growth mindset လေးကိုလည်းကျမတို့မွေးမြူပေးရပါမယ်တဲ့နောက်ဆုံးအနေနဲ့ကတော့ကျမတို့ကလေးတွေရဲ့စိတ်ကျန်းမာရေးကအရေးကြီးပါတယ် resilient လို့ခေါ်တဲ့ခဏရင်ရှိရမယ်ကျမတို့ကလေးတွေရဲ့စိတ်ကျန်းမာရေးကအရေးကြီးဆုံးဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒါကတော့ကျမတို့ဒီကလေးတွေကိုကျမတို့ကလေးတွေအတွက်ပေါ့နော် skill set တွေစင်ပေးတဲ့အခါမှာ educator တွေကျမတို့ဆရာမတွေနဲ့ parents မိဘတွေလုပ်ပေးလို့ရတဲ့အရာတွေကိုပြောသွားတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ရှင့်ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါအခုကျမတို့ဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့မှမိဘတွေစီကနေပြီးတော့မှပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့ဒီနေ့ပြိသက်တွေစီကနေမိဘများစီကနေပြီးတော့ကျမတို့မေခွန်းလေးတွေကိုနောက်ထပ်ဖြည့်ချပေးမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ရှင့် I think we'll take a couple of questions right
yeah actually we have right let's say maybe we collected some questions from the survey and also we can take some questions from here well I would go for this because one is very specific to IB subjects how can I choose subjects in IB DP that's what they think I think they're asking about to go get into environmental or financial and economics fields that's their first question.
Sure, it's a very specific question and one of the easier one to answer, a very direct answer. So IB for having career in environment doesn't necessarily that the student will have to go through a specific subject. Okay, so all the environment problems having environmental sciences in subject choices or biology in subject choices will be helpful, but that is not the only requirement. So IB is a curriculum which is a more holistic curriculum based on skills. So if someone to study, say suppose economics, actually IB doesn't mandate having economics in their IB subjects. They could study physics and then move on to economics. So all the universities, the best universities, they have mandated certain subjects. For example, if you think of London School of Economics, then it has a criterion, and the criterion is that the student needs to study high-level mathematics, approach and analysis, and economics, higher level. Similarly, if a student needs to get into medicine, then two subjects are mandatory. One is biology and one is chemistry. Similarly, if a student wants to get into MIT, then mathematics higher level, physics higher level, those are certain subjects that they need to pursue. So it is important not the subject, but where the student wants to go. It is more important. And remember that for getting into those Ivy League universities, especially MIT or the Harvard or Princeton, it is very, very challenging. Even a student who gets a full point may not end up getting a place in those universities. There are many factors, okay? There are, again, basically the diversity and inclusion, there are many factors, those are involved. For example, if a chances of for a Yemeni student to get into Harvard with the same points rather than an Indian student is quite high. If a student from, say, suppose Papua New Guinea, the chances with the same credential get into MIT, not MIT, I'm not going to say MIT, Princeton is definitely high. So there are many, many other factors.
Yeah,
One of the factors is diversity as well.
yeah. Right. Yeah. So the answer to this question is, depending on where do you want to study, that's what it is. But eventually, IB is a skill development program. So whatever subject you study, you will have skills for life to take anything. That is what it is. It's a knowledge connected. So you will get, wherever you go, you can survive, thrive, and I would say in whatever you study. So those skills are more important. We'll go to the second question. The second question is, what international schools like Brainworks offer something that is special to bridge the gap, like the market that is in front of us, what skills they want, and what is currently, what current skills in current market, job market.
I think, Mr. Iyer, you're the best person to respond.
No, I would say, we are developing skills, here. The skills are that will take, and I saw this beautiful slide, and you keep this slide here, and which is, it tells everything: cognitive skills, engagement skills, resilience building, physical abilities, the management skills, working with others, technology skills. So these are something like skills will take you anywhere that you want to go. So it's a skill development. It's not about just knowledge alone. Knowledge is important, but more than knowledge. Knowledge is anywhere, your ability to reach out to a knowledge, how fast and how you evaluate a knowledge and apply that knowledge. And this is more important. And now those skills need to be developed. And once with that skill, that is what international schools are good at it in developing. So you go for a dynamic program. And I would say right now, just now when we are speaking, there are 2 sets of students are in China working with different other countries in science, developing themselves in science skills. And the other set of students in the New York, working with other completely different set of students from other schools, World Scholars Cup finals. A couple of months back, like a month back, there are students climbing on mountains, climbing on, moving bridges and all, taking, challenges that are, resilience building, this is what. So a lot of things, even today when I'm talking about, people, there are 150 students participating in a spelling bee competition. It's not about just a spelling bee, it's about being there and giving a good fight. These are all some of the things, skills development. Yeah, that's the answer. I think, am I right, Mr. Tanu?
Of course, I mean, the sense, the vibe that I got, and I talking to some of your teachers, that definitely helped me believe that you guys are out for the skill development. And in Myanmar, you guys doing a really good job, and you are getting the experts from different part of the world, and you are also training a really you're taking an important role, not to teach students, but also to teach teachers. So if you are equipping teachers with the right skill set, right mindset, and those teachers will deliver the right kind of teaching and learning for the school. So in my opinion, humble opinion, that, well, Total is doing a really good job. So the value for what you're giving, I think Mr. Iyer is very passionate and definitely a very involved educator and entrepreneur. And I'm pretty sure that, well, you can trust with the overall philosophy and the vision of Brainwork. And definitely, I've seen the willingness to offer everything from the teacher's side. The teach has been phenomenal. So yes, you definitely could trust the school for it.
Thank you. There are a couple of questions you already answered in your presentation, but I go to one important question. This question is because this
Yes.
We want people, it's not only our parents from outside also, in the mail, the whole idea is to reach out to as many parents as we want. This is one parent, there is a question, I don't have enough money to enroll my child in an international school. How can I prepare my child to...
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. I think that is something that I've been actually thinking back of my mind. And I think that, again, there's a straightforward answer. If you look at, it is great that if you are able to enroll your child for an international school, that's great. But what about that you don't have money, right? And in that way, having an unflinching zeal to be in touch with the student and not to make the child feel that the parent is, asking for excellence and expecting excellence, and reminding the child about it, as long as the child is not thinking about it, because that's our natural, that's natural instinct. If we work harder for a student, we get upset for our child. We get upset when the child doesn't perform that well, right? So as long as that you are in a role of supporting your son or daughter, at the same time giving and equipping your son and daughter with time, actually, with conversation, and with having them being curious about nature, about the world, about politics, about sciences, the basic sciences, and exchanging thoughts, that you can do. And trust me, many parents, they don't have time to do that. I don't do justice. I mean, most of the times I don't do that, although I know that I have to do it. But it's just that the pressure, and sometimes just pure lethargy. As long as that you are spending that time, you're just making sure you are your child well, you are inspiring it without having the expectation to perform for a long term. I think that is the key. And trust me, this is not easy. As a father, I can tell that this is not easy.
No, I actually add to,
Please.
if you move your slides, it say what parents can do.
Sure.
I had, a couple of things, show some, put them in peer groups that are having high expectations from themselves. So what helped me, I'm also, when I look at a lot of our teachers, a lot of our backgrounds, when I look at my background, my parents definitely could not afford an international education, but that doesn't stop me coming and playing this game at this level. So what helped me is putting in the right peer group, that has very high expectations, and you don't feel, and a lot of building a lot of references that that you can also do, and that's all, open to experiences, and that's what exposure to diverse experiences, real world experiences, going on a trekking. It doesn't cost much, little money, but put them in a group where they are exploring these places. So things like a lot of experience. Yes, sir.
I think I would like to add a few things as well. Those are more technical. The first one is more philosophical. The second one is technical. There are many online groups and online opportunities, online competitions. Those look for talented and committed students, Example, many schools, they offer 100% scholarship. School that right now I'm the assistant head of school, we offer 100% scholarship for 3 students who are capable in IBTP level, full scholarship. Not a single penny is required. So we are a non-profit organization. There are for-profit organizations as well, I know, that they offer scholarships. So you need to look at it. You need to have your child prepare for it. There is UWC, United World College. They offer from 50% to 100% scholarship, and those are great schools. Okay, there are 16 schools. Aga Khan Academy, there's another one. They offer 100% scholarships. So look for it. Sometimes people do not have those awareness, right? And at the same time, there are math competitions, free competitions. There are business competitions, economic competitions, essay competitions. That happens all the time. In order to find that, you need to spend time. You need to make sure that you get the right information and encourage your child to participate in those competitions. So nowadays, no one can, be one corner of an island. We are all interconnected, and there are means. So if your child is capable, if your child is willing, or I would rephrase it, if your child is hardworking, just only one facet, there are ways. So your ability to spend will not come between, and I'm certain about it, 100%.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Tanu. Actually, if there are any questions, please post it in the chat box so that I can ask. And I think we will still receive questions to the same the information email connections that we have sent, and pass it to Mr. Tanu and get some answers. Pusin, you can wrap it up with the 3 questions and answers. And we can say a goodbye for today, because already we are, crossing the time.
Okay, share. Tomorrow, me ba mya bono. Tomorrow, di Mr. Tanu go meeting a migo le mya shi solution le. Tomorrow, di bono. Di link le lekan ya shi phone message ka phise, Viber message ka phise. Any niya go be migo le people thalo ya bare. Tomorrow, migo le collect lo biro ma. Tomorrow, Mr. Tanu go minian be ba me. Pi a phi go pian le phi ta bi ma phit bare. So re khataro sat biro ma meeting na le shi so tomorrow di ni ma PB night life PB night မယ်လေကျမတို့ဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့ဖြည့်ကြားပေးမှာဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်မိကုံးများကိုပေးပို့မြင်မြန်နိုင်ပါတယ်ရှင်အဲ့ဒီချိန်မှာတော့ကျမတို့နောက်ဆုံးမိကုံးလေးပေါ့နော်နောက်ဆုံးမိကုံးလေးကကျမတို့ကျောင်းကမိဘတွေအပြင်ကျမတို့အပြင်ကမိဘတွေလည်းရှိနေတာဆိုတော့ပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့လက်ခံရရှိထားတဲ့မိကုံးက international school ပေါ့နော်ကိုပညာသင်ကြားဖို့မတက်နိုင်ဘူးဆိုရင်ကျမတို့ကလေးတွေအတွက်ကျမတို့ဘာတွေပြင်ဆင်ပေးလို့ရလဲပေါ့နော်ဒီနေရာမှာမစ္စတာတနူးကအပိုင်း2ပိုင်းနဲ့ဖြေကြားပေးသွားပါတယ်နံပါတ်1ကတော့ကျမတို့မိဘတွေအနေနဲ့လုံနိုင်တာတွေကတော့ခုနကပြောတဲ့ကျမတို့မိဘတွေဘာလုပ်ရမလဲဆိုတဲ့အချက်တွေပေါ့နော် slide ထဲမှာပါတဲ့အချက်တွေပေါ့ကျမတို့ကလေးတွေကို curiosity လို့ခေါ်တဲ့စူးစမ်းလေ့လာခြင်းစိတ်တွေကိုဖွံ့ဖြိုးအောင်လုပ်ပေးရမယ်နောက်တစ်ခါ digital literacy ကို promote လုပ်ပေးရမယ်ဒါလေးလုပ်ပေးလို့ရတယ်plus အဲ့ဒါအပြင်ကျမတို့ဘာလုပ်လို့ရလဲဆိုရင်တော့ technically ကျမတို့ကလေးတွေကို online မှာရှိရပေါ့နော်သူတို့လေ့လာပြီးတော့ရှာဖွေလို့ရတဲ့ပေါ့နော်ပြိုင်ပွဲလေးတွေဝင်ပြိုင်ခိုင်းရမယ်သူတို့ online ကနေပြီးတော့လေ့လာလို့ရတဲ့ဟာလေးတွေကိုကျမတို့အတူတူရှာဖွေပေးရမယ်လုပ်ပေးရမယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါအပြင်ကျမတို့ကလေးဒီလိုကလေးတွေအတွက်လည်းကျမတို့မှာပေါ့နော်တရားခိုင်နှုန်းပညာသင်ကြားခွင့်စုတွေပေးနေတဲ့ college တွေရှိတယ်တက္ကသိုလ်တွေရှိတယ်အဲ့ဒီအတွက်ကြောင့်မဟုတ်လို့ပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့မိဘတွေနဲ့လုပ်ပေးနိုင်တာကခုနက slide ထဲမှာပါသွားတဲ့အကြောင်းအရာတွေကိုကျမတို့မိဘတွေနဲ့လုပ်ပေးနိုင်တယ် plus ကျမတို့ဒီ online ကနေပြီးတော့မှပြိုင်ပွဲတွေဝင်ပြိုင်တာမျိုး online ကနေလေ့လာတာမျိုးကိုပံ့ပိုးပေးလို့ရပါတယ်လို့ပြောသွားပါတယ်နောက်တစ်ခုကတော့ပေါ့နော်အခုလက်ရှိအခြေအနေနဲ့ပေါ့နော်နောက်လာမယ့်နှစ်တွေမှာလိုအပ်လာတဲ့လုပ်ငန်းတွေအတွက်လိုအပ်တဲ့ skills တွေကိုကျမတို့ Brainworks လိုမျိုး international school တွေကနေပြီးတော့ဘာတွေလုပ်ပေးနေလဲပေါ့ဘယ်လိုမျိုးဖြည့်ဆွတ်ပေးနေလဲဆိုရယ်မိကုန်းပေါ်မှာတော့ပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့ကျောင်းအနေနဲ့ကတော့ခုနက Mr. Tanu ပြောထားတဲ့ knowledge အပြင်လိုအပ်တဲ့ skills တွေဆိုတာရှိရပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီ skills တွေကိုဖြည့်တင်းပေးနေပါတယ်ကျမတို့အခုလက်ရှိမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျမတို့ကျောင်းကနေပြီးတော့တရုတ်ပြည်မှာသွားပြီးတော့မှတိုင်မဝင်နေတဲ့ကလေးရှိရယ်နောက်တစ်ခါYale University မှာသွားပြီးပြန်မဝင်နေတဲ့သူတွေရှိရယ်လွန်ခဲ့တဲ့ရက်သက်တစ်ပတ်အနေငယ်အားဆိုရင်ကျမတို့ကလေး tracking သွားဒါမျိုးတွေပေါ့နော် ကျောင်းစာပြင်ပ skills တွေကိုကျမတို့ကျောင်းကတော့ပေးနေရပေါ့နော်။ဘာလို့ဆိုတော့ကျောင်းစာပြင်ပအပြင်ဒီ skills တွေကကျမတို့ကလေးတွေရဲ့လုပ်ငန်းဝင်တဲ့အချိန်မှာလိုအပ်လာမှာဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်ပေါ့နော်။နောက်ပထမဆုံးမေးခွန်းပေါ့အရင်ဆုံးမေးသွားတဲ့မေးခွန်းကကြတော့ subject choices ဘာသာရပ်တွေရွေးချယ်တယ် IB အတွက်ဘာသာရပ်တွေရွေးချယ်တဲ့အခါမှာဘယ်ဘာသာရပ်ကိုရွေးချယ်ရမလဲလို့မေးတယ်။ဒီမေးခွန်းအတွက်ကိုတော့ Mr. Tanu ကဖြေသွားပါတယ်။သူကလေဘယ် subject ပေါ့ဘယ်ဘာသာရပ်ကိုရွေးရမလဲဆိုတာလေကိုဘယ်မှာသွားပြီးတော့မှပညာသင်ကြားမယ်ဆိုတာကအရေးကြီးပါတယ်တဲ့ဥပမာ MIT ကိုသွားမှာလားပေါ့နော် Ivy League school တွေဖြစ်တဲ့ MIT တို့ Harvard တို့ဒါမျိုးကိုသွားကိုဘယ်မှာသွားပြီးတော့ pursue လုပ်မလဲဆိုတဲ့ပုံမှာမူတည်ပြီးတော့သူ့ရဲ့ဘာသာရပ်ရွေးချယ်မှုကဆုံးဖြတ်ရတာပေါ့နော်ဘာသာရေးရွေးချယ်မှုဆုံးဖြတ်ရတာလို့ပြောပါတယ်ဒီနေရာမှာလည်းဒီ Ivy League school တွေရဲ့ကျောင်းသားရွေးချယ်မှုကပညာရေးချင်းတူရင်တော့မှခုနကရှေ့မှာပြောသွားတဲ့ diversity ပေါ်မူတည်ပြီးတော့မှကွဲပြားနိုင်သွားတယ်လို့လည်းသူကဖြေကြားသွားပါတယ်ရှင်ဒီနေ့webinar လေးကိုတက်ရောက်ပေးရဲ့မိဘအားလုံးကိုကျွန်မအကြောင်းရဲ့ကိုစား Brainworks Studio My Myanmar International School ကိုစားကျေးဇူးတင်စကားပြောချင်ပါတယ်တစ်ဆက်တည်းမှာပဲကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ webinar session လေးကနေပြီးတော့မှမိဘများပေါ့နော်ဗဟုသုတနောက်တစ်ခါကိုယ့်ရဲ့ကလေးကိုပံ့ပိုးပေးရမယ့်အကြံဉာဏ်ကောင်းတွေရရှိမယ်လို့လည်းကျွန်မမျှော်လင့်ပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီထဲမှာပဲကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီနေ့မှာ live နဲ့မဖြေကြားနိုင်ပေမဲ့ကျွန်တော်တို့မိခွန်းတွေရှိနေသေးရဲ့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျေးဇူးပြုပြီးတော့မေးမြန်းပေးဖို့အတွက်လည်းကျွန်မတိုက်တွန်းချင်ပါတယ်ကျွန်တော်တို့ကဒီမေးခွန်းတွေကိုယူပြီးတော့မှဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့မေးမြန်းပေးသွားမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ရှင့် Yes I can just ask the parents to ask more questions in the in the connection that we have
so we can collect and of course this presentation we can pass it to you if you whoever needs it and thank you once again Mr. Tanu Shankar Chakrabarti, and thank you for your time and with all the preparation for this, and thank you for accepting our request to share. There is a lot of things that I've learned from this presentation, and of course there are some changes. I thought, okay, we have to bring in some more changes in the system based on your presentation. So I will be working. Maybe a couple of years later, I'll come and say, because of you, I changed these things in the school. So definitely going to happen, in especially areas of experience. We always look for additional experience, real-time experiences. Thank you. Happy Diwali to everyone.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Who's here, and bye-bye all of you. Thank you so much for being here today. Yeah, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.